big thing. The thing that is difficult is we had one of our Will Kunkel. He left, so our sports department, as far as on-air and reporters, is like 4 people now.
Yeah.
So between Panthers and Hornets and all those, they just get spread thin. That's why I came. I kind of double dipped. I was gonna come anyways just to watch and be there. But I kind of double dipped because he was like, we don't have a lot of people. I was like, okay, I'll come with and we'll go.
Next time you see Anne, she said last time I saw her, she wanted to get back on. She said, "I'll bring Grant back on." Yeah. Because I live right by the studio, so I can.
Oh really? I still live in Belmont.
I'm going to start with tonight's lineup. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to skip that. I'm going to go right into the basketball package, and then out of that, we just come up on your camera, okay?
Okay.
So it'll be open basketball package.
So you're running the open basketball
test
package,
and then we'll come to you.
We'll go to this.
And we'll put a little thing over the top, and then you put your names in and everything. So.
Still.
You don't have to talk until I tell you to put.
Still presented by
OrthoCarolina, same old.
I'll be fine.
Yeah. We're like 2 minutes.
Cool.
Which I know it doesn't really matter.
I can't even talk that good.
Jim, I can't hear you. Don't worry, you'll be tired of seeing me go in
So, it'll be good. Did Stephen Giles get connected with him yesterday?
Yeah.
Yes, you talked to Steven?
I mean, I didn't talk to him face to face, but we've been emailing back and forth.
Cool.
So I've got Walker's coming back for like a majority of the games, and Dino's going to do a couple of them. So I don't really have any left for him, but I told him like if I can find a way to get him in, whatever. If we ever
He got some stuff at Charlotte with women.
Yeah.
So
for what?
with the women's team.
Yeah, he's going to do our first women's game, I think,
Oh,
just
cool.
to give them a little pop, and then I'm going to try to. He said he'd come and do it for free, so I may bring him into a men's game just.
Yeah,
I texted, you know,
I texted with him.
He's maybe the best basketball man. He's a basketball genius.
He was great. Like just the emails back and forth were fantastic.
Yeah, I've talked to him.
Sharp dude.
All right, well, here we go.
To the Queens Coaches Show presented by OrthoCarolina. Back here at JJ's Red Hots on East Boulevard. And here starting things off with Grant Leonard, as we did last week. Thanks for coming back. Didn't scare you off.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Well, we got big season coming up. We've been talking a lot. You know, the practices getting more intense, the season coming up. Starting things off with Marshall on the road. What's it like for you as a head coach, getting that season started on the road and having to, you know, be away from the home crowd in that environment?
Yeah, last year we were fortunate to get started off at home, and thank you for Marshall for doing that. So we're returning the favor to them, and that was the agreement. They were really good last year, so it's going to be a real test of not just how good we are as a team, but how we handle adversity. Being on the road, they draw really well, and it's going to be a super crowd, and I'm sure they're going to be out for revenge.
And it was a tough battle. Obviously, his last second, if you remember, last second winning shot from Kenny Dye. We've talked about it. You've talked about it all the time. Kenny will not be with the team. He was here for about, 5-6 years. So now he's moving on. He's playing in Europe professionally, but a lot of those returning scorers for this team. So that Marshall game will be similar, but still very different.
Yeah, I mean, AJ McKee is our leading returning scorer, and you know, if you would have told me last year at this time that he would have been our second leading scorer, I would have probably thought you were lying. But he developed, he did an unbelievable job of working on his game and getting better, and now he's an established, you know, go-to guy in our league. I think in the last, 15 games in conference, he was our leading scorer last year, and so I'm proud of where he's at. And I know we got some other guys like BJ McLaurin ready to fill that next void of being our next go-to guy as well.
And you have those transfers coming in as well. We've talked about that, and transfers from JUCO, Jacoby coming in, and I got to watch him in practice earlier today, and looking really sharp, a high flyer, very athletic. What are you excited about him?
Yeah, really, it's just his intensity and his motor that he plays with. I mean, he's an unbelievable kid, but he plays so hard and brings such high energy to the court. What he does for our team is immeasurable at times, and I'm really excited to see what he does as well.
So we talk about a lot about the players. We talk a lot about your team. You're a coach. That's what you do. You got to talk about your players. What are you excited for? This is year 2. What are you excited for this season? And the challenges ahead. So it's gonna be a long road, but you love the game of basketball. So what are you looking forward to this year?
Honestly, I'm really excited for our staff. Last year they were all new. So last year they were kind of feeling their way out and didn't really know how we do things. Now most of them have 10 toes in, as they all do, but a year under their belt, so they know what Queens basketball is about. So watching them grow and learn, as a coach, you don't just want to watch the players grow, but as a staff, you want to help them grow as well. So really excited to see how our staff handles year 2 with our program.
And we talked about that road game coming up to start the season. Starting the season against Marshall, like you said, returning that favor. They started at home last year, but a big road game coming up in December against Duke at Cameron Indoor. Just talk about that opportunity, and I know you're not looking that far right now, but what that means just for the program and for your team.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an unbelievable test to our program. Obviously, it's going to be the highest ranked opponent we've ever played. They're going to start off preseason top 5 in every poll, and rightfully so. They brought a lot of good players back, and they brought in an excellent recruiting class. So for us to go on the road and play that game, it's going to be a dream come true for some of our players. But once they cross between the lines, they got to put that away. It's business time, and we got to go in that game going, we're going to instill our will in that game. Mm-hmm. We're going to put our stamp on it, and we're going to play super hard and see how it goes. And for all of us, like, a lot of people have attachments to Duke, whether, hey, I watched this game, or for instance, my brother went there and so did his wife. So it's going to be a very interesting opponent for us. For a lot of people, it's going to be, we got, I think, 8 or 9 guys from North Carolina on this team, so all of them probably dreamed at some point of playing at Duke, and here we go.
Yeah, they probably dreamed of playing at Duke or beating Duke for UNC, one of the two. And let's talk about that for a second. Being Queens University of Charlotte, being less than 5 miles from uptown Charlotte, and you have guys like Bryce Cash, AJ McKee, who are born and raised right here in the Queen City and get to play for Queens University of Charlotte. What's it like recruiting from this area, and how have you enjoyed having them on the team and representing North Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a unique experience for guys to be able to stay in their hometown and represent their hometown school. And so for them, like, their family and friends get to come to games. It's an extra special experience, but they don't have to go far for Thanksgiving dinner. But I think the biggest thing for them is they have a lot of pride when they put that Queens jersey on. This is their hometown. They're representing their hometown. They're in front of their family all the time. And for us, last year, our entire starting five was from North Carolina. This year, we'll have a little different flavor to that. Maybe a little Bohemian flavor. You just never know. But still, guys are going to be exceptionally proud to play hard and represent Queens.
And you mentioned that, you know, like Duke or North Carolina, they get to represent that whole state. But also, they're representing more with Queens coming into the Division I level, too. Like AJ talked about it, and last year they talked about it a lot. You're not just playing for the university in your city. They're paving the way in Division I, which has to mean so much.
Yeah, I mean, I think last year, you know, the transition happened fast. We kind of ripped the Band-Aid off and jumped right in, you know, into the deep end. And I think for a lot of our fall sports, as they're getting their experience level, you know, a lot of our athletes asked, like, hey, can we do this? Like, can we be successful in that first game versus Marshall? When we beat Marshall, who's a very established Division I program, I think it said, hey, we belong. And I think we had a lot of wins last year that said, hey, we belong. East Tennessee State, who's been to a couple tournaments recently. And so it's just really fun for our guys to do that. You know, beating Kennesaw at Kennesaw, the only team in the ASUN to go to Kennesaw and win the game. That was their only home loss all year. It's a big deal for our program. We do belong. Well, now we have to make a larger imprint. Now we got to say we don't just belong. We're here to compete for championships.
And you've talked about last year that chip to kind of prove yourself. And like you said, you did that against Marshall, just game one with that win. And then going into the ASUN tournament, which you were picked last. I mean, we talked about that a lot in the preseason poll. So now in year two, with the ASUN seemingly getting better and better every year, you know, what do you expect from this conference? I know for you and this team, you expect a championship.
Yeah, I mean, we're a championship caliber program. We always have been. We build teams to try and win championships in our league. Last year was our first time in the league, so kind of getting our feet wet, figuring out the lay of the land. Well, now we have that, so there's no more excuses. I know who we're playing. I know where we're going. I know what we're doing. So now it's on us to put together a championship caliber team. But more importantly, you know, the league is kind of up for grabs. Kennesaw's coach left, and a couple of their players left. Liberty left. Eastern Kentucky is picked number one, and I think deservedly so. They have a ton returning. But to be honest, it's anyone's ball game, and I like our chances.
Well, we got good chances, according from the coach's mouth right here. Queens going to be ready for that. And Coach, thank you so much for coming on. I mean, just looking down at that schedule first before we let you go, I mean, starting things off at home, again, it's High Point. You know, you saw the energy last year against Marshall. The bar was set pretty high, but I mean, the whole thing you're seeing right now is trying to break that record and, you know, really bring the noise day one, November 14th against High Point.
Yeah, I mean, I think High Point is an unbelievable test, and they called it the Battle of 85 last year, and it was a really good game at their place. So I'm excited they're coming back. And, you know, we got a couple other teams coming here. Gardner-Webb for the first time in a real game. Looking really excited for that game. App State, that's going to be a huge game. They have a giant alumni base in Charlotte, so I'm thinking that's going to be a packed crowd. Fairleigh Dickinson, who's off upsetting, you know, number one seed Purdue. You know, so a lot of great home matchups in the non-conference. And I think that fans are going to have a lot of fun here in the Levine, and hopefully we break that record multiple times this year, because I think we have the type of schedule that can do that.
Fun fact, grew up a Purdue fan, was heartbroken when they lost to Fairleigh Dickinson. Now I get to call that game the very next year, so that'll be so much fun. Thank you so much, Grant. We appreciate it. Best of luck. The season coming up November 6th is that first game. 7 p.m. Monday against Marshall. Wish you best of luck then. Thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. You're watching the Queens Coaches Show presented by OrthoCarolina. We'll see you back after this break.
Oh man, there's nothing I love more than a good trail mix. But a mountain bike trail, not so much. Oh hey, my pedal. Wonder where the other one is.
From urgent care to your full recovery, OrthoCarolina is there every step of the way.
Good day, though. Good day.
Here, strength comes from within. Practice makes perfect.
And curiosity knows no bounds.
I believe Queens graduates will create a better tomorrow. Where we go next? That's up to us.
The Eats on East project showcases the Royals' pride that spreads throughout East Boulevard, walking distance from Queen's University campus. Royals fans and visitors are encouraged to take a walk to the legendary East Boulevard to culminate the true Royals experience at a variety of restaurants. Starting with the home of the Coaches Show, JJ's Red Hots was the first Eats on East partner. The movement continued as other partners joined, including the newly renovated Lebowski's, Showmars, Jersey's Mike's, Brick's Pizza, Bakersfield, Kid Cashew, and Penguins Drive-In.
From the bluegrass of Kentucky, the Arkansas River, to the beautiful beaches of Florida. From the bustling streets of Nashville to the soulful sounds of Muscle Shoals and its vibrant cities. Fueled by growth, the Atlantic Sun operates in the fastest growing region in America and broadcasts in over 16 million homes. We're everywhere you want to be, with access to 9 of the nation's top 80 media markets, including an impressive 6 in the top 50. Our 12-member institutions provide every collegiate experience from public to private to faith-based. All of our member institutions are located in the top 30 states with the most rapid growth. So join us, because we're not just a stop along the journey. The Atlantic Sun is the destination.
Back to the Queen's Coaches Show, presented by OrthoCarolina. Sitting here right now with Ashley Fowler, head women's golf coach. You just told me you're from Germany. Had no idea about that. So just tell us a little about yourself. Introduce yourself. You know, I know it's your second season, but first time on this show. And just tell us about yourself, how you got into golf, especially how you're from Germany. How'd that work out? Like, you know, let us know.
So yeah, I grew up in Germany. My dad is from New York, and he played hockey, so he met my mom in Germany.
Okay.
And we just kind of moved around a lot as a kid, and we moved right next to a golf course. And just kind of, my mom would always just go say, like, oh, go play on the playground, the big playground over there, and got into golf, loved it. Always had the dream of playing college golf, and then came over here and decided to become a coach, and here we are.
So I have to ask, I played hockey, and from what I know about hockey players, golf is right next to it.
Yeah.
So is that a little bit of how you got into it? Did your dad play? Was he into it?
Yeah, he played a little bit, and he loved that I got into it, but swing-wise, I feel like playing a little bit of hockey gave me a lot of like the swing speed that I needed, which was nice. So
helps off the slap shot.
Exactly, yeah. So had good like hand-eye coordination through that, so that kind of helps in golf too, just with the touch and things. So it's been very helpful.
So when you said you just wanted to play college golf, and you know, there's a difference between loving golf and loving competitive golf.
Yeah.
Because you see it all the time. There are great golfers that are probably scratch, but you put pressure on them, you make them do it in a tournament. You see the PGA guys, oh, do this putt for
$50,000.
$50,000, yeah, exactly. So what drew you to competitive golf?
I thrive under pressure. I feel like ever since I was a kid, like the higher the stakes, the better I did. And so I loved competing in the amateur events, any college event. That last round was always my favorite because that was kind of like our moving day. It was all in your hands. If you want to go get it, you can get it. Yeah. And so I love just trying to, beat the course, beat myself every time. So I just love competition. And I grew up in a household where I had 2 brothers, and anything we do is very competitive. Yes, so trying to beat them. Anything we do is competitive. Board games don't go very well, but yeah, just love it.
So, and that probably transitioned into coaching. Did you just, once you were done playing, it just felt like a natural switch, or did you enjoy teaching people? How did that transition?
So originally I thought I was going to go play and try to pursue the professional route, and then kind of had that passion in college. I love teaching like other people. I love learning from other people more. So I felt like every time we were practicing, I'd love to ask the questions. How do I get better? How do you get better? And so I feel like that helps me a lot in coaching and trying to figure out the girls to see, what they need and how to get better. So I knew, coaching was always an option. Didn't know I was going to get into it this early, but I'm glad where I'm at, yeah.
Yeah, so now let's talk about, your team just finishing up the fall season, and just talk about how has this season gone for you guys, and also just as a golf coach, I talked about it a little with the men's coach as well a couple weeks ago, but what are you focused on as a coach trying to teach them? Because he mentioned a whole thing I didn't even think about, of that they have their own swing coaches and they do their own coaching and own stuff, because it's a very individualized sport.
Yeah.
But then you're coaching this team, so it's just curious of how you approach that.
So he made a good point. Yeah, it's a little different where they all have their own coaches back home. So it's a lot about communication and making sure that we're all on the same page. Some of them have 2 coaches, some of them have a team full of coaches. So trying to all be on the same page. But I feel like the way or where I can help them the best is on the mental side of the game. And being around them every day, right? I get to learn the way that they think, how they approach things, and maybe trying to teach them different ways to approach the game, think about it, and on the course, that's when we come in the most. They don't have their swing coaches there, so how can I help you best while you're competing? What motivates you? How do you get better? And being around them every day, you see, where they're really growing, where you can see, a lot more improvements happening. So trying to find those areas for each player to where we can just benefit the most and trying to get it out of them. That's kind of the.
So a little bit of course management too for that tournament and stuff like that. Preparing for the course you're about to take on, as you said.
Yeah, exactly. So we have yardage books for every course, and so we play our practice round. We go through them, make sure that we have a good game plan, because even the tournament that we just played, it was a very target golf is what we call it. So it's you have to hit the shot exactly the distance. If not, you're in trouble. And we learned things every single day, every time we played again, and we were like, man, I wish we would have taken better notes in the practice round or had one more round to be more prepared. So making sure, course management's great, preparation's there, and just ready to play.
It really is amazing when you think about competitive golf and the margin for error, and how small it is. Like you said, if you go a little too far, you're rolling down that hill towards water instead of right on the green. Because for me, usually when I'm playing golf, it's just hit it and go in the air, and you're golden.
Get out there,
yeah, exactly. Let's just get something and make contact. So it's a totally different ball game.
And then if you think about it too, we literally play a game where if you're 2 degrees off, the ball could be 50 yards a different direction, right?
That's very true.
So it's not just managing the course, but also managing your swing, managing your emotions throughout it. If you're having adrenaline, that changes how far you hit it. So there's so many outside factors that we had to kind of consider and take into account.
So you're coming off that last of the fall season and the Mercer Invitational. You have a little bit of a break till February, so what does that entail for your team and just continuing to work and get ready for that spring season?
Yeah, so I gave them the whole rest of the week off just to kind of put the clubs away, focus on some school, get healthy. It's been a long season, a lot of road trips, so just kind of getting mentally refreshed, and we'll have individual meetings next week to kind of go about talk about the things that they need to individually improve on. A lot that we're going to focus on is putting, and kind of just trying to work on the little things, and I always say little things make big things happen, and so just trying to work on those little things this off season, take it easy but still work hard and be efficient where we can be, and then excited to pick it up in February.
And just out of curiosity, you've played college golf, and the teams are generally smaller. Is there generally a closer-knit group on a golf team? Because, one, you're all individual, but you're also playing as a team, and then also there's just not a ton of people on the roster.
Exactly, and when we've traveled this year, I've pretty much taken the same 5, and so especially that group is a lot closer because you're sharing a bed, or all the meals together, you're practicing together, and I'm big about creating a family-like culture, and so it's all about, who are you outside of the, as a golfer, who are you as a person, and trying to get to know each other on a really deep level, because I do think that helps.
Yeah.
I talk a lot about energy on the course, right? So we are all about, making sure that that person behind you, in front of you, they know that you're there and that you care for them, and so I definitely think that it's a tight-knit group.
Awesome, and looking forward to that spring season with the FAU Paradise Invitational, Howard University. You got a lot coming up on that schedule.
Yeah.
You know, anything you're personally excited for in that that spring schedule, and then obviously leading up to the ASUN Conference Championships.
Yeah, I think in terms of the conference championship, I'm really excited for Jacksonville State's event. They're in our conference as of this year still, I believe, and so that course is very similar to the one that we will be playing at conference, and so the setup's going to be very similar. So I'm just excited to kind of see, you know, how we do there and how we can improve for conference and really be specific in our preparation and just practices.
Yeah, that event at Jacksonville State in Glencoe, Alabama, and then the ASUN Conference Women's Golf Championship in Huntsville. So makes sense of similar courses there. But Ashley, thank you so much for joining us. It was so great talking to you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No problem. And so much coming up for the women's golf team, and more coming up right here on the Queens Coaches Show here at JJ's Red Hots. We'll be right back after a quick break.
Every journey has a starting point. Each student has a moment when talent and passion meet opportunity. At the intersection of challenge and support, self-discovery fuels breakthroughs, and leaders emerge prepared for what's next. I grew up loving music. It possesses this very real, very unique power for connection and healing. And my journey as a music therapist took shape here.
I discovered the pool offered a more level playing field and the chance to push my limits. At Queens, there's so much opportunity, and our potential for greatness accelerates with every step of our collective journey.
I've always had a knack for chemistry, and that talent has magnified since I got here, rippling out in new directions. I'm not afraid to take risks. I believe challenges make us stronger, and innovation only comes when we're willing to lean into the unknown.
I'm still not sure what the future holds, but whatever it is, Queens has prepared me for it.
My professors push me in the classroom and believe in my abilities.
My coaches, professors, all of us, we're one team, one family.
Here, my voice is heard. I'm given the freedom to be myself and charter new opportunities for change.
Here, strength comes from within.
Practice makes perfect.
And curiosity knows no bounds.
I believe Queens graduates will create a better tomorrow. Where we go next? That's up to us.
It's time to mark your calendars and purchase your tickets. Last year's inaugural Division I season exceeded expectations with the best fans in Charlotte. November 14th is the home opener for both men's and women's basketball. The women will take on Johnson & Wales at 4 p.m., followed by the men taking on High Point at 7. Separate tickets will be required for each game. And remember, VIP courtside seating is selling fast. If you want the best seat in the house, purchase courtside tickets by contacting Royals Tickets at queens.edu.
Before a city turns to you for answers, before the stories that need telling are told, and our nation's biggest companies look to you to make their next big move. Whenever, however, you're called upon to step up, Queens will prepare you to do just that. Because here, Royals rise.
Welcome back to the Queens Coaches Show, presented by OrthoCarolina here at JJ's Red Hots on East Boulevard. Now welcoming in men's wrestling coach Rob Tate. Rob, thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
So, you know, back second year in Division I, and you just mentioned it. Boys are training hard and everything.
Right.
You guys starting a lot on the road right now, so a lot of travel for you guys. How's that gonna go early on?
I think it's going to go all right. I mean, obviously the hardest part is kind of getting down the road and making sure that our weight's, where it needs to be. But these guys like road trips. They like being together. Like most people don't, but these guys embrace it. They enjoy the grind, and they know that we try to be good, big on harping it, that you're going to miss these days, one of these days,
I feel like that's the case. Like even when just I wrestled back, we talked about wrestle back in high school. When you go on those tournament trips,
right.
You're all cutting weight in a hotel room, and then you got to weigh yourself, and you do grow very close, and it's something you enjoy. Going to Applebee's across the street and barely eating anything.
Adversity brings everybody together, and so we're big on things like that. Like I'd say, our big team rule is we always take up our phones at dinner. I'll give them back to you afterwards and all that, but you're all going to want that time back with each other.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good philosophy to have, and helps them grow closer together, which is great for the team morale and everything. And we wanted to talk a little bit about that first home match. Still TBD on the date right now, but against St. Andrews, going to be exciting to bring it back home, like I mentioned, after being on the road for a while, and get to do it right here in Charlotte.
Yeah, no, and they're a good team for NAIA, and we're excited to be in front of our home fans for that one, and excited just to hopefully get some wins and hopefully get some a lot of points on the board and get people excited.
And for you and your background, how did you get started with wrestling? Was it something you started when you were young, or did you get to it a little later?
Young, yeah. I started in 7th grade, but like for wrestling speak, that's a little bit later. It's a little bit old. And being from the South originally, I'm from Gastonia. Kind of right down the road. I knew that I was going to be too small to play football or basketball or anything like that. So wrestling just kind of stuck for me.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough that it, took me out of my hometown, kind of took me around the country, and brought me back. I say it like I tell everybody else. I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. I'm doing it.
And did you wrestled in? Where did you wrestle in?
I wrestled at Gardner Webb University,
right
down the road. So, yeah, me and Daniel Elliott, the head coach there, were teammates.
Awesome. So some familiarity there when you see them.
And, good healthy rivalry.
That community too of wrestling, is a tighter knit, not being as big of a sport, but so what's that community like, especially here in North Carolina? It's not Pennsylvania, it's not Ohio, but
it's still competitive. It's all competitive, and like in the wrestling world, everybody kind of knows like state pride almost trumps school pride sometimes. Like what state you're from really matters. But I mean, no, how do you say it? Like, they're the most dangerous guys that ever stands across from you, so they're also the guys that you respect the most, right? And so, I mean, you respect them, you don't like them sometimes because you're competing for the same things, but at the same time, they're great human beings. Yeah. And that's what I'll say about the wrestling community as a whole. They're just good human beings in general.
Yeah. And for recruiting, you're trying to recruit good human beings, good wrestlers, and everything. Have you made more of a focus of trying, to really conquer and recruit in the state of North Carolina, or do you try to branch out and get wrestlers wherever you can find them?
As much as we can, being as much a North Carolina kid, I like trying to recruit the state as much as I can. That's my little niche, but we've got a far reach. We got guys from California, we've had guys from New York, Pennsylvania, all the way around. We're really just trying to, put the best product on the mat we can, and just I would say what keeps us out of the North Carolina game sometimes is guys around here don't realize how lucky they are. There's like 8 Division I wrestling opportunities in the state of North Carolina, which is more than you've got in the state of South Carolina, Virginia, Florida, all that combined. So it's humbling and it's a good thing to have, but also when you got too many choices, sometimes they think that it can just happen everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And so for you, starting the season tomorrow with Oregon State, 20th in the country, 25th in the country, North Carolina, Greensboro College as well. A lot of challenges coming up for you guys.
Yeah.
Who's excited? Who are you excited? I know you're excited for this whole team, but who's really standing out on the mat?
How do you say? Our freshman class is doing really good right now. Martin's made it down to 25. He's going to be good. Hadn't been that low in a while. Coran's on his descent plan, might be at 41. Merriman's kind of solidified in there at 74. Making sure that they're hungry and that they're good, they're talented, but they're inexperienced. But we got Kuhn up there at 97 on the upper end for us. Has got a lot of experience. He's getting ready to be his third year, in the starting lineup. How do you can't buy that type of experience, right? DeAndre Hunt's back at 84. He's trying to really, make a name for himself. Vlad is in there at 65. But we got Easton Tobiah, who's a transfer for us from Bellarmine, who's trying to make his stay, whether he'll be at 57 or 65. He's still trying to figure that one out, right? So, it's good problems to have. We got good guys that are starting to rub up against each other and are bumping up each other in the lineup and in the wrestle-offs. And it sucks because you gotta coach to a kid who's a little bit disappointed. He wants to be an All-American national champion, but he can't even make it start in the lineup. So it's you gotta deal with that. But at the same time, you also know that the guys that are beating them are good, and they're gonna be good representatives for us.
And
we're just basically boiling it all down. We're hungry and we're just trying to get better every day.
And so you mentioned that freshman class, and the jump from high school wrestling to college wrestling and then also to D1 wrestling.
Right.
That's a big jump. And
huge curve.
As a freshman, what you were in that position and you were a college wrestler. So what's it like for them trying to step up to this level?
For us, it's excuse me, right? That was my thought. Being a freshman is somewhat easy. I mean, it's a no-win situation. It's a no-lose situation. You go out there and you completely surprise people, and they're like, "Holy crap, where did this kid come from?" Right? If you go out there and you get beat, you're like, "Oh, well, hey, no, it's all right, kid. You need a little bit more experience, right?" So these guys are dangerous. They're probably one of the most dangerous points they're going to be at in their career because they don't have anything to lose. They just have everything to go out there and prove. It's after that we got to start really honing it in, and to remember that it's not what you did last time. Now you have a new opportunity to go do something this time. Last season doesn't matter. That was that season. No matter what happens this season, they're not going to take away what happened last season. So you go focus on the new opportunity in front of you. So, but yeah, being a freshman is jealous and freeing. And for me, it was probably one of my best seasons ever when I was in college, and it was really because of that mentality.
And because after that, like you said, 3 years in the starting lineup, that's a lot of veteran experience, and that's a lot of benefit.
Yeah.
But also, if you get a reputation of being a very good wrestler or being one of the best, you're going to have a target. People want to take you down.
Yeah, and everybody's always going to give you their best match. And for how we try to, coach it and just preach it is, you should expect that out of everybody. And if you score, if you score your first attack every single time, we're not wrestling the right opponents. The opponents that we're preparing for and that we're going to wrestle in the NCAA finals eventually, they're always going to stop your first attack, guaranteed. That doesn't mean that your attack stunk. That means that they're a good opponent, right? And give them the due respect that they need in that, and you just keep going forward after that.
And we talked about it just before this. You mentioned there's some rule changes or some point changes.
Yeah.
If you want to get into that a little bit.
Yeah, well, the big thing for us is the 3-point takedown, the switching from 2, and near fall criteria has switched. We now have 2, 3, and 4 as selections of that. So it'll be interesting to see guys take some risks to hold people on their back for a little bit longer. I know when I was competing, we only had 2 and 3 counts, and it was almost not worth trying to hold the guy for the extra couple of seconds to only get one more point. But I really didn't realize how much that 3-point takedown was going to open things up until I saw some of our wrestle-offs. And at first I was like, okay, so what? You get a takedown, you let him up, you're still up 2, he gets another takedown, it's still a 4-3 exchange instead of a 3-4 exchange. But if you are the guy on offense and you get 2 or 3 takedowns, all of a sudden that lead just starts blowing open. And the match just starts blowing open, and all of a sudden, which before 2 or 3 takedowns was kind of a tight match still, now it's starting to be like, oh, somebody's got to get to work.
Does that did that scoring difference for a tech change?
No, just a point value for the takedowns and how they award near fall criteria.
Gotcha. Okay, so some things changing, but still wrestling.
I'll say but wrestling's still wrestling.
Yeah.
You gotta go out there and make somebody kind of do what they don't want to do.
Yeah. Go down.
So no.
But it'll be really fun to see. You got a great big season coming up. We mentioned that home opener is we're going to look at that schedule right now, but got that home opener against St. Andrews, kind of TBD on that. Right. But what are you excited for with this schedule coming up this season? Already talked about the challenges you have coming up tomorrow.
All of it, really. I mean, I'm trying to like, how do you say it? And I'm trying to preach it because I preach it to them. All that I'm really focused on right now is getting through tomorrow and trying to make sure that we did better tomorrow than we did today. And then we'll go to Friday and try to see how we can improve from Thursday.
So looking at that schedule coming up for you guys, we mentioned the St. Andrews match, the Bellarmine match right after that.
Then we got coming up right after that one, we'll be going to UT Chattanooga with Little Rock. They're good programs. Then turning right back around, we got 3 in a row coming up at home. We will be wrestling, Sacred Heart and BMI, and then we'll be wrestling, Sacred Heart and BMI and George Mason.
Awesome.
Sorry, I should know that by now. It's right on my schedule.
Hey, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, right?
A lot going on. Big season starting for the wrestling team tomorrow. Rob, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. That's what we got from the wrestling team. Big season come up for them. They started off tomorrow, Greensboro College, North Carolina, and 20th ranked Oregon State. We'll take a quick break here. You're watching the Queens Coaches Show, presented by OrthoCarolina.
I never met a ski boat I didn't love. Except for Greg's. I lost my favorite sunglasses, half my bathing suit, and my ability to raise either of my arms over my head.
Oh, thanks, sweetie. Are we out of the purple kinds? Oh, man. Can you squirt some sunscreen on Mommy's nose? She can't lift her arms anymore.
From urgent care to your full recovery, OrthoCarolina is there every step of the way.
Before a city turns to you for answers, before the stories that need telling are told, and our nation's biggest companies look to you to make their next big move. Whenever, however, you're called upon to step up, Queens will prepare you to do just that. Because here, Royals rise.
Welcome to the Atlantic Sun, where heart-pounding moments are born and where champions rise above. Where speed defies limits and precision finds its mark. Where millions of fans nationwide cheer for excellence, determination, and fairness. Where public, private, and faith-based schools compete side by side, fostering sportsmanship and unity. Join us, because we're not just a stop along the journey. The Atlantic Sun is the destination.
The Eats on East project showcases the Royals' pride that spreads throughout East Boulevard, walking distance from Queens University campus. Royals fans and visitors are encouraged to take a walk to the legendary East Boulevard to culminate the true Royals experience at a variety of restaurants. Starting with the home of the Coaches Show, JJ's Red Hots was the first Eats on East partner. The movement continued as other partners joined, including the newly renovated Lebowski's, Showmars, Jersey's Mike's, Brick's Pizza, Bakersfield, Kid Cashew, and Penguins Drive-In.
To our student athletes, thank you for representing the Navy and Gold with pride on and off the field. We honor your outstanding achievements in academics and athletics and highlight your impact on Queens, the city of Charlotte, and beyond. I couldn't be more proud of the way that all of you have stepped up and stepped into this space and competed at the highest level in Division I athletics. You have made a lasting impact and you have created a legacy far beyond what we could have expected.
What up, Royals Nation? Welcome inside 117 Studio B. This is your Royals recap. I'm Kat Biancardi, catching y'all up on the best moments of Queens athletics this past month. No tricks, only treats for the Royals during fall postseason play. Queens women's soccer makes history by defeating Eastern Kentucky in thrilling fashion by way of penalty kicks, 4-2. The Royals' victory made ASUN history by becoming the first 8 seed to advance to the quarterfinals. Seniors Erica Turner and Hilda Sensen earned postseason All-ASUN honors, and Lucy Platt scored a spot on the all-freshman team. On the men's side at Dixon Field, following a scoreless first half against Florida Gulf Coast, the Royals used an electric second-half performance to put away 3 goals to defeat the Eagles 3-2. The comeback victory secured the squad's first ever ASUN tournament appearance.
In the conference is very competitive, And since we still have a chance and we believe that we can use our chance, it's an amazing feeling.
Out on the trail, the cross-country men's squad claimed a top 5 finish at the ASUN Championships, while the women finished 6th, a huge improvement over last year. Congrats on the fall campaign, Royals. Inside Curry Arena, welcome to the 1,000th Club, Jessie George. The defensive specialist recorded her 1,000th career dig and sits within the top 10 in overall career digs at Queens. At the pool deck, veterans Danielle Malelli and Mate Dusha set new ASUN conference record times in the 50-yard and 100-yard free. Their honors for the second time so far this season. And that is your Royals recap. For the latest, follow at Queens Athletics. Thanks, y'all.
Welcome back here to JJ's Red Hots Queens Coaches Show. No coach next to me, though, so just going to wrap things up. Talking some women's soccer, the ASUN Championship. First time ever made it to the postseason in the D1 era. It only took till their second year against the 5th seed Eastern Kentucky, won in PKs, and then University of North Florida, Alabama, their last game against the 4 seed, losing 1-0, but that team accomplishing so much in their time. Just talk. And now the women's soccer team, I just said, this team going through a lot. Obviously, Coach Neely Knoll having a baby during the season. That was a big thing that happened, a new member of the Queens Royal family. But, you know, this team, first time in the postseason. Erica Turner, with what a year she had, getting postseason honors for the ASUN. And, you know, same thing with the all-freshman team with Platt getting honors there as well. So much to be proud of for this women's soccer team and the Queens Royals overall. The men's team, we'll get to them in a little bit. They have their postseason match coming up on Saturday, 7 p.m. And now we'll switch over to women's basketball, who they have Ole Miss to start the season. You know, they didn't try to lighten their schedule at all. They wanted to start hot and keep it going. They start with Ole Miss on November 6th at 11 a.m., the 12th ranked team in the country. And then they're staying in SEC territory. The reigning national champions are going to take on Haley Van Lith, Angel Reese, and Louisiana State University on November 9th at 8 p.m. in Baton Rouge. That'll be a big one to watch and a good opportunity for the Royals to see what they're working with. After that, on to Johnson and Wales, and then the home opener for the Royals, 4 p.m. on the 14th. Little double header there for the men's team and the women's, as the men's team opens up with High Point after that game. But the ASUN schedule, the women's basketball team, with a good showing last year, all the Queens teams doing pretty solid, but they'll start things off in January with Kennesaw State and see all those ASUN foes you're so familiar with throughout the season. So a lot to look forward to for the Royals and for Queens sports in general. So for Nick Kloss, all the coaches, thank you so much to Grant Leonard, Rob Tate, and Ashley Fowler for joining us tonight here from JJ's Red Hots on East Boulevard. Thanks for watching the Queens Coaches Show, presented by OrthoCarolina.